President Biden in New York City yesterday saying enough is enough. His appearance coming 2 years after those protests and calls from some cities to defund the police. Others saying don't get rid of the police, reform them. They say the war on crime also has to include a war on guns. And joining us this morning, three of the brightest minds in politics: Barret Holmes, our BNC contributor, Ameshia Cross in D.C., and Chris Metzler in New York City. Barret, I'll begin with you. Let's break this down. We have entered into a nationwide dialogue about gun violence. But aside from ghost guns, no one wants to talk about guns. And I'll remind our audience of the last mantra from the NRA: the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Seems nowadays that everybody has a gun and the cops are getting caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, I think the reference to the NRA is perfect. They've spent decades creating a narrative across the country that when everyone has a gun, everyone's more safe. And we know that common sense proves that that's just not true. But legislation and Republican congressmen have made it so that there's so many guns throughout America that no one really feels that safe. And we have ghost guns. We also have people like legally buying guns. We have people buying guns at at gun shows. And so the preponderance, the abundance of guns in our society just makes it really, really difficult for Americans to feel safe as they go about their everyday lives. And now we have these incidents of gun violence. And it's not surprising that, the Democrat president is the one saying we need to address it, while the Republican presidents, when these happens, they say thoughts and prayers, and hopefully the good guy with the gun comes and saves it. And, we'll put metal detectors and security guards at schools and all sorts of stuff. But right now we have to address it. And the Democrats are the ones that are more concerned about this, because that is not our policy of spreading guns throughout the country. And so we just live in a society that's gotten increasingly violent, and it's made it so over the last couple of decades because there's guns literally everywhere across the nation.
Ameshia, I'm going to make a not so bold prediction. Lots of people are going to get shot this weekend. Lots of people are going to die this weekend, and lots of people are going to die from gun violence. I've done ride-alongs with police, and their number one concern are domestic violence cases. I was actually there in North Carolina when they went in to arrest a man who had just beaten his wife savagely, and then when they slapped the cuffs on the man, she attacked them with a frying pan. Imagine if she had a gun, which is actually what happened in New York City.
Things would have been a lot worse. I feel like it's very easy for individuals to not only accept the proliferation of guns across this country, but to assume that just having one equals a certain level of protection. My father, just full disclosure, is the chief of police. At the end of the day, there's always been trainings on and a strong fear of entering domestic violence situations. In many cases, the fear of that is stronger than entering into narcotics drug busts, because quite often officers get shot. Quite often officers get murdered in those cases. What we're seeing now with the proliferation of guns across this country, due to the straw sales, due to the issues of a place like my hometown, the South Side of Chicago, where we have some of the strongest gun laws in the country in the state of Illinois, but Indiana doesn't, Michigan doesn't, our surrounding states do not, Wisconsin doesn't. All of the guns are being brought in from those states. This issue isn't something that's new. We've been talking about this as Democrats for the past 4 decades. Quite frankly, Congress just isn't going to move on it. They don't do it when the violence is in the inner city, and they don't do it when babies like those in Sandy Hook get murdered either.
And Chris, defund the police, fund the police, refund the police, those are all political statements. The bottom line in this case is that Congress on both sides of the aisle has failed to get anything done. The White House on both sides of the aisle has failed to get anything done with regards to gun violence.
Well, yeah. And I mean, the conversation about guns, let's not forget, the conversation about guns has never been about guns. It's been about politics. The NRA has owned the Republican Party for a very, very long time. And in fact, Democrats were not able to launch a counter organization. So we're at the point now where we're talking about guns and gun violence. We haven't done anything about it. And both sides of the aisle are bought and paid for by the gun lobbyists and others. That's the reality. If we're expecting Congress to do something about this, if we're expecting the president to do something about it, not going to happen. the lobbying and other interests are simply too strong. And, Republicans have been very masterful at designing this as a Second Amendment issue. This is not a Second Amendment issue. It has never been a Second Amendment issue, but the populace has accepted that as you're going to take my guns away. And so we find ourselves living in a sea of violence minute by minute every day of the week.
Ameshia, regardless of which metric you use, as this crisis continues, more and more weapons are sold. We're at 389 million weapons in this country right now. If this was an economic business model by the NRA, it would be successful. But here's the problem. People are dying, and you don't hear anything from either the NRA and you don't hear anything from the Republican Party on what should be done. Have we actually jumped the shark where nothing can be done?
We can absolutely do something. I will say nothing will be done. Again, we've seen this time and time again, whether it is episodic violence, as what we've seen in some of the mass school shootings, or whether it's day-to-day violence that young people see every single day in their communities. Gun violence has become so prevalent in our society. I think it's getting elevated this year because it's not just happening in inner cities. You're seeing it spread across a lot of rural areas as well. With that being said, I am certain that this Congress, as well as the new iteration coming in November, is absolutely going to be in the same spot they've been for the past 4 decades, sitting on their heels, taking lobbyist money, not being able to fully work these things through. Even some of the initiatives that Joe Biden talked about in New York, these are initiatives that are not ones that are actually going to highlight or even diminish the gun violence that we currently see. So I think it's problematic in terms of trying to be solution oriented to utilize those, but also looking at the fact that we are a country of guns and we are a country of violence. And America just has to admit that. That is who we are. That is who we have always been. And now it's being highlighted because of what we've seen coming out of this pandemic.
Newsflash, there were 2 school shootings last week, including one on a college campus in which 2 campus security guards were shot and killed. Barret Holmes, Ameshia Cross, Chris Metzler, thanks for being with us. Stay with us. You are watching DC Today.